Hi, Wednesday, the 3rd of July, and I'm here to look at well, I say daily astrology, but actually what I want to cover is the new moon in Cancer on Friday. And the reason I want to cover it now is because I don't think I'll be very articulate on that day. Cancer, being a water sign, makes it very difficult to speak about things that are deep, emotional, well hidden, mysterious things. And I thought, I think I'll be better off doing it today and saying, look out for this on Friday. So there probably won't be a video then. Right, okay. Now, I want to talk about Cancer in a way that is not usual. So Cancer is well known for several attributes, and that is the role of mothering, nurturing, feeding. Cancer loves to feed people, nurture them. And Cancer has a few other things up its sleeve. It's a very comical sign. They can be great comedians. They have a kind of a zany humor about them, Cancer people. But I want to get a little deeper than that by going back in history, because I think this is a sign that has not enjoyed a greater reputation or more understanding as the years have gone by. This is a sign which actually has been depleted by the years, that possibly used to have a lot more rapture and used to be honoured a great deal more than it is now. And I think it's been a victim of patriarchy, to be honest with you. I think this is just typical of the demise of the feminine. So I want to unpack this a little, because I think if ever there was a time to start to look differently at Cancer, then this is the time for Cancer full moon, opposite Ceres. Ceres is an asteroid that is very much in tune with Cancer's energy and the moon's energy, as the great feminine, the great matriarch. Now, there are various myths, and you can find stories on the internet to do with the existence of a great matriarch or a great goddess at one point in the ancient Near East. And I think there is a lot of credibility to this because I've walked around there and I've seen it. I've seen, for instance, ancient thrones, if that's what you would call them, with their feet carved like lion's feet and various lion features on the throne. But the dating and the inscriptions there most clearly talk of Kybele, a great matriarch, feminine mother goddess. And I think a lot of it goes back to Egyptian times. And I was particularly struck when I was at the Temple of Dendera in Egypt. They have on the ceiling there now a copy of a zodiac that was first carved around 50 BC. They probably started around 55 BC, something like this. And it's one of the most complete portraits of the sky that we actually have, going back into all those centuries ago, millennia ago. And so that rendition, that fantastic artwork, leaves us with some zodiac signs that we still use today. And it also leaves us with, if we scratch beneath the surface, we can find a lot more attributes, a lot more consideration and homage was given to the sky as being feminine. The sky was the great feminine mother, the great earth mother, if you like, but that's sort of like a statement that doesn't make sense. Earth mother, but not in the sky. It's a great sky mother who represented the feminine as being fecund, as in giving birth, as the overseer of birth and death. And I have been taken when because I now study Egyptology, and I am always taken by seeing the sign of the crab, which is now the image that we have, the symbolism for Cancer. I'm always sort of looking at it thinking, my goodness, because in actual fact, when they carved the symbol for Cancer in those days, they made it look just like the moon. Now, I've got a very rough drawing that I did at the time when I was actually looking at the Dendera zodiac in Egypt. And forgive me for this drawing, honestly, it's just scribble, but it does, I think, sort of give you the sense of what it looked like. Right, I'm just going to share. There we go. Okay. Now, all right, this is very rough, don't laugh. But I was stood there with a notebook and a pencil and all agog. This circle was indeed a perfect circle, right? So just like the circle of the moon. And it had shadings on it, like the moon, with the, the mountains and the valleys and everything. And the legs, I mean, this is just how the legs look. So you've got 4 legs here and 4 legs that side. And then you've got something coming forward as if it were the claws. And then you've got a sort of a face or whatever else around here as the face, the mouth, whatever. Now, for me, the interesting part is this is so much the moon and the crab bits have been added. And that's the way I see it. So what we're saying, and don't forget the importance of the moon in Egypt. I mean, I have talked about this before. The moon was as important as the sun at various times to various epochs, various cultures. And we can see the importance of this actually when we look at how the zodiac was put together. So when we have the summer solstice, which is to do with the relationship between the earth and the sun, and a very important time, it is Cancer, 0 degrees Cancer, that takes up that solstice position. So the moon and Cancer are given that exaltation, putting it right up there in importance. And then after that comes Leo, the sun sign. So going back to the sky, the great mother, goddess, sky, the symbolism of Nut, the great mother, sky, goddess, she was called many things, but the symbolism of her swallowing the sun every day and then giving birth to it, being in charge of the cycle of the sun going down, setting and rising again. And at least in one of the illustrations, we have that illustration up for Cancer, that very round moon shape, actually on her thigh, sort of most certainly implying that Cancer, mother, swallowing, giving birth, etc., is all kind of blended into one thing. So if I look at the feminine and what I believe we are now going through, which is the rise of the feminine after 2000 years of patriarchal rule, we are now going into a time when we are required to take on board more feminine issues. So to slow down, to stop this mad panic, reaching for growth all the time. So industrial growth, commercial growth, more money, bigger, fatter stocks and shares, this kind of thing, forever relentlessly growing. It can only ever lead really to the depletion of all resources. But it's outpacing the planet's ability to keep up. The feminine, on the other hand, is about local and localizing. And I think we need to relocalize and deglobalize. It doesn't suit the planet. And so I see the virus that we all suffered from in 2020, for instance, as something that the feminine was responsible for, because what did it do? It stopped everything in its tracks. It made everybody stay local. It stopped this rush for growth, this relentless worshipping at the altar of growth at all costs. And then there was other things happened after that. A ship got stuck in one of the great shipping routes, the canal, and that sort of held up shipping for ages. We've had lots of signs that the feminine wants us to slow down with all the commerce. Anyway, so we're in the rise of the feminine, which is the age of Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is masculine, but this is the balance, the rise of the feminine in the age of Aquarius. You have to have the two. Now, they've got nothing to do with each other when it comes to the zodiac, but they have a lot to say for their element. So Aquarius, very definitely a kind of masculine element. And now let's look at Cancer. Feminine, water, the water element. And I don't think we could find a zodiac sign which is more appropriate to the feminine than Cancer. So if we look at we've got 3 earth signs which are feminine, 3 water signs which are feminine. I think Cancer is the one that epitomizes the feminine very, very clearly. And so as the rise of the feminine happens, despite everything else, the background is the feminine is on the rise. I think Cancer becomes more and more important as an energy. Cancer seems to have more to say, and I appreciate more and more about the Cancer energy as an astrologer every day. I used to be, I think I didn't really understand it at all. I was quite dismissive of it, really. Oh, Cancer, mothering. that I was denigrating it myself, really. But now I really get this impression of it pushing out, burgeoning out, filling out, and rising up. But in strange ways. I mean, for instance, there was some research done on who wins lotteries, and it turned out that Cancer sun signs were very close to the top sun sign. Number 2, I think, for winning lotteries. Somebody researched billionaires, what sun signs were billionaires. Cancer. I mean, nobody's ever associated Cancer with money and that kind of success. It speaks for a much more mysterious and complex and interesting and diverse energy. And I think that's because the ruler of Cancer, the moon, does this thing where it goes round the whole earth and through every single zodiac sign every month. It visits every sign for 2.5 days, something like that. And I think that gives it a very wide range of experience, and a very rich experience. And I think this is all, we don't see this. This is all beneath the water. We don't see a ripple. It's all very kind of like lost, really, in the water, I should say. The sensitivity that the Cancer energy has is becoming clearer and clearer. Those who are sensitive, those who are clairvoyant, psychic, whatever, it's their Cancer energy which is assisting them with this. Yes, it's great to have Pisces and Scorpio along, but it seems as if Cancer is very important. And so it's the Cancer energy, and we're big in that now. We've got the new moon on Friday, where the sun and the moon get together in Cancer. It's a time, I think, for us to slow down and really try to get in touch with what's going on and see if anything that I'm saying makes any sense. I'm just going to share again, I think, so that we can have a quick look. Share. And now I want to look at that page. There it is. Share. Okay, now I've set this up for the new moon. And it happens at night, actually, where I am in the UK, around 11 o'clock at night. And it's at 14:22. Now, right across is Ceres at 14:26. That's an incredibly close opposition. It really, really is. And with Ceres's position as being named after a goddess, which was a goddess that was appropriated by the Romans from the Greeks because they were in a plague, because they were in devastating rainless times. The ground was parched, the crops were failing, and so they desperately needed new deity to help them out with this difficulty. And so Ceres was appropriated and prayed to. And she has proven in astrology to be very much about parent-child separation, the parent-child bond. And so to find her with Cancer, or opposite to Cancer in Capricorn, on this new moon is saying more, even more than ever. It's talking about mother. It's talking about how this energy cares for and grows the seed, the human seed, the vegetation, the seeds from vegetation, grows them into what they must become. So the young maiden or the seedling, and through into the harvest or the old crone. And so I think, yes, we need to think about that. Yes, we do. And we also need to look at the mysteries that astrology has when we think in terms of the Cancer Capricorn opposition. And you can find the video that I did on that in the list on my channel on YouTube or on my Facebook page. But so time to sort of take all this on board, I think, and really give it some thought. Now, because this is such a deep and watery time, because it is so secretive, because it is so hidden, it's not easy to pick up on what I'm saying. It's not easy to think, oh yeah, this strikes home. We have become beings where we are accelerated. Our brains are accelerated. We expect more and more and more to be stimulated, to get new revelations, to get more of everything. It's just avarice, more, growth. And so what I'm asking you to do is completely against that. And I'm saying, no, stop, relax, pull in like gravity, do what the feminine does, pull in like gravity, and try to focus on this energy, because it has been so little felt, so little appreciated, so little hallowed. I think it's about time we ourselves started to rebalance if we want the planet to rebalance, and our spiritual soul world to balance. Then let's start with us, and take on more feminine and less masculine in our lives, because this is making us all hyper. Right, well, that was I'll just stop sharing. Okay, well, that was all quite lengthy, and I hope it made some sense to you. As I say, I don't think I'll be doing a video tomorrow or the next day, unless there is something else to say, because I think it's just important to dwell on this, and I would only be repeating myself. It's taking over everything else, as it should. This is a very important time. There's a lot of Pluto involved here as well, and I think there again we've got birth, death, and life being pushed into what it must become, moved on, the growth, growing something, having something be under our nurturance as it grows into what it must become. This morning, I must tell you this because I think it's coincidental. A friend of mine has a cat, a stray cat, that just decided to adopt her, and was pregnant, and she didn't know it, and then it was obvious, and she asked for my help because she said, well, this cat's going to give kittens, and her little son, her 7-year-old son, was really allergic to cats. So it's not been going well. Well, we wanted the cat to give birth to the kittens in her house because she's adopted the house, but get her out as soon as possible because the little son's suffering with his allergies. So the cat gave birth to 5 kittens this morning. So I rushed over there and scooped them all up. They're all in the box they were born in, and took them over to my mother's. And my 90-year-old mother was going to have to look after all these kittens for 8 weeks, 9 weeks before we can find them homes. And so I was involved with this, and it's such a cancer thing to be doing, to be taking these things and doing all this. So I really thought it was quite interesting. I was like intrigued by the whole thing. I thought I'm just gonna have to tell everybody about this because this is like, I'm sure everybody else isn't having to deal with newborn kittens, but you never know. Anyway, so wonderful to talk to you. And I am looking forward to talking to you again soon, even if it's next Monday. It might be because of this Cancer new moon, but if something else comes up, you know me, I'll just make a video. Right, okay then. So I will now say goodbye. Bye bye.